He's the genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. But beyond the swagger and the snappy one-liners, Tony Stark is a story of incredible transformation. He's the man who, when faced with his own mortality in a dark cave, didn't just survive, he reinvented himself. He is Iron Man, the hero who built his own destiny, piece by high-tech piece. Let's rewind. Before the arc reactor hummed in his chest, Tony Stark was the heir to Stark Industries, a weapons manufacturing giant. He was brilliant, yes, but also arrogant and detached from the consequences of his creations. His life was a whirlwind of parties, press conferences, and profits. He was on top of the world, but blind to the suffering his weapons caused. Everything changed in that cave in Afghanistan. Ambushed, wounded, and held captive, Tony was given an ultimatum: build a weapon of mass destruction for his captors. With shrapnel inching towards his heart, kept at bay only by a crude car battery, he was forced to confront the legacy of his life's work. His own weapons were being used against him, a brutal and ironic twist of fate. But this is where the genius of Tony Stark truly ignited. Alongside fellow captive Ho Yinzin, he didn't build a weapon of destruction, he built a suit of armor. A suit powered by a miniature arc reactor, a clean energy source he designed on the fly. This wasn't just an escape plan. It was a symbol of his rebirth. The Mark I suit, crude and clunky, was forged in desperation, but it carried the blueprint for a new purpose. Yinsen's final words to Tony were a powerful charge. Don't waste your life. Those words became Tony's new mission statement. He escaped the cave, not just as a man who had cheated death, but as a man with a new conscience. Returning to America, Tony shocked the world. He announced that Stark Industries would no longer manufacture weapons. The stock plummeted. His business partner, Obadiah Stane, was furious, and the board of directors thought he'd lost his mind. But Tony didn't care about the money anymore. He had seen the dark side of his legacy and was determined to clean it up. He retreated to his workshop, the place where he was most truly himself. With his loyal AI JARVIs and his robotic assistants, he began refining the armor. This is where we see the essence of Tony's character. He's a builder, an innovator, a problem solver. He tinkers, he fails, he tries again. He burns the midnight oil, fueled by coffee, and a relentless drive to perfect his creation. From the bulky Mark I came the sleek, powerful Mark II, and then the iconic red and gold Mark III. This wasn't just about building a better weapon. It was about building a better shield. A shield for the world. He flew back to the Middle East not as a weapons dealer, but as a one-man peacekeeping force, dismantling the very weapons his company had sold. And then came the moment that defined him for the world. At a press conference, with S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Phil Coulson handing him a pre-written alibi, Tony Stark did the most Tony Stark thing imaginable. He looked at the script, looked at the reporters, and with a confident smirk he declared, "I am Iron Man." In that single moment, he shattered the superhero tradition of secret identities. He owned his creation and his new role, for better or for worse. He wasn't hiding behind a mask. He was integrating his heroism into his very identity. This act of radical honesty was a testament to his new self. He was no longer just Tony Stark, the billionaire. He was Iron Man, the protector. Of course, the path of a hero is never smooth. His journey was fraught with challenges that tested him physically, mentally, and emotionally. The arc reactor in his chest, the very thing keeping him alive, was also slowly poisoning him. This race against time forced him to dig deeper than ever before, using clues left behind by his father, Howard Stark. The relationship with his father was complex. Tony grew up feeling overshadowed and emotionally neglected by him. But through old film reels, he discovered a hidden message of love and a blueprint for a new element. In creating this new element to power his arc reactor, Tony didn't just save his own life. He also healed a part of his past, finally understanding and connecting with the father he never truly knew. Then came the formation of the Avengers. Tony, the ultimate lone wolf, had to learn to be part of a team. It wasn't easy. His ego clashed with Captain America's steadfast principles. They were two different men from two different eras. Cap saw a reckless narcissist and Tony saw a self-righteous Boy Scout. But their conflict was a crucible that forged a powerful, if complicated, friendship. They challenged each other to be better. And when the Chitauri invaded New York, Tony made a choice that no one expected from the selfish playboy. He flew a nuclear missile through a wormhole into deep space, ready to sacrifice himself to save the city. It was the ultimate act of selflessness, proving that the man in the suit had a heart as strong as the arc reactor that powered it. That experience left deep scars. Tony developed severe PTSD and anxiety. The hero who seemed to have it all was haunted by what he had seen, by the threats that lay beyond Earth. He couldn't sleep. He couldn't stop building. He created the Iron Legion, an army of suits he could control remotely, all in a desperate attempt to protect the world and the people he loved, especially Pepper Potts. This fear, this desire to create armor around the world, led to his greatest mistake, Ultron. Ultron was born from Tony's hubris and his trauma. It was an AI designed to bring peace, but it became a genocidal monster. Tony's best intentions had paved a road to near extinction. The fallout from Ultron was immense. It fractured the Avengers and led directly to the Sokovia Accords, a government measure to regulate superheroes. Here, Tony and Steve's ideological divide became an unbridgeable chasm. Tony, burdened by guilt over Ultron, believed in accountability and oversight. Steve, wary of agendas and corruption, believed in personal freedom and choice. The resulting civil war was a tragedy. It pitted friend against friend and tore the Avengers apart. The fight between Iron Man and Captain America wasn't just a physical battle. It was a heartbreaking clash of their core beliefs. For Tony, it was another painful lesson in the consequences of his actions. Yet, even after all this, Tony never stopped trying. He became a mentor to a young Peter Parker, seeing in him the potential to be a better hero than he ever was. He tried to guide Spider-Man, to protect him, to pass on his knowledge and his sense of responsibility. In mentoring Peter, Tony found a new kind of purpose, almost like a father figure. And then Thanos arrived. The threat Tony had feared for years was finally here. The battle that followed pushed him to his absolute limit. Stranded on the planet Titan, watching his mentee Peter Parker turn to dust in his arms was Tony's darkest moment. He had failed. Despite all his suits, all his tech, all his planning, he had lost. But Tony Stark is not a man who stays down. The 5 years after the snap were a mix of peace and lingering failure. He finally had the quiet life he'd once dreamed of with Pepper and their daughter Morgan. He had everything to lose. But when the chance came to bring everyone back, a 1 in 14 million shot, he couldn't turn away. The hero in him wouldn't let him. He solved the problem of time travel. Of course, his genius once again provided the key. He rejoined the fight, not for glory, but for redemption. For Peter, for everyone they had lost. In the final battle, facing Thanos and his army, Tony saw the one future where they could win. It required the ultimate sacrifice. Using his own nanotech suit to wield the power of the Infinity Stones, he knew what he had to do. With the stones coursing through his body, burning him from the inside out, he looked at the Mad Titan and delivered his final iconic line, "And I am Iron Man." With a snap of his fingers, he saved the universe. Tony Stark began his journey in a cave, building a heart to keep himself alive. He ended it on a battlefield, sacrificing that same heart to save everyone else. He was a man defined by his flaws, his ego, his recklessness, his guilt. But he was also defined by his relentless drive to overcome them, to be better, to build a safer world. He wasn't born a hero. He built himself into one. He is proof that our destiny isn't written for us. It's something we forge ourselves in the fires of our own workshops. Thanks for watching. If you love stories of heroes who build their own destinies, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. See you next time.